All right, so happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to today's boot camp. Every Tuesday at Best Homes Real Estate at 11 a.m., we get together and have a course on a very specific pillar to help your real estate business, i.e., we call it a business boot camp. So it's called Momentum Builders Boot Camp. And we go through specific pillars such as online lead gen, how to write a contract, how to write a clean offer, how to get listings. And today it's about open houses. So open houses is the fan favorite of most when it comes down to a lead gen pillar. When you start here at Best Homes, we always say really pinpoint one or two, even three, sometimes even more pillars. But one of the most favorite ones is open houses. So open houses is like everything else. Everyone has their different spice, their setup. Some take a whole bunch of stuff, some take an elaborate food setting, some don't. And that's the beauty behind it. So today we're going to have Alan himself going over some best practices for open house, or what we call open house 101. Just some recommendations, some tips and tricks. And open houses was one of his main pillars when he got into real estate. That's how he was able to double, even triple his clientele, his database and whatnot. So he's really going to dive deep into it. If you haven't taken a look at your momentum planner, everyone gets a free copy of the momentum 30-day momentum roadmap. And in one of the pillar examples, he does list open houses, and we wrote down specifically how many open houses he did, what his follow-up process was like. And today he's going to go over not just some of those tips and tricks, but also the setup concept and all of that. So I'm going to continue letting in some people, but welcome Miss Virginia, Sandy, Miss Vanity, open house queen over there. Good morning, Sir David.
Good morning.
All right. Miss Susan, good morning. And Max Cunningham, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you very much. It's the first day off I've had in months, and happy to be here to learn about the way to kick ass on
open houses.
I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you'll get to this, you probably will, but I heard there's an app, like a check-in app. I heard some other agents or saw some other agents mention it. I don't know anything about, I mean, I know there's things out there, but I wanted to ask particularly on this training about what's being used to check people in as opposed to just the sign-in sheet.
That is a great question. Yes, Alan will definitely touch on that. We have manual sign-in sheets, and then both KV Core and Sync have sign-in apps. So we'll definitely cover that.
Okay, awesome. Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you.
Next. All right. And welcome, Sir Chris. And of course, Alan. Thank you so much, Alan, for hosting today's bootcamp course on open house. 101, I call it, but how to build thriving open house business workshop is today's subject. So I'll let you in, but I think most people have hopped on. We have quite a nice group of people on, and we'll let you get started.
Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, good morning, Virginia. Great to hear from you. Great to see you. Good morning, Vanity. Wow. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend.
No, we didn't go to Laguna Beach, but the weather was pretty nice.
I tell you, that place is a freaking paradise.
Yeah, it is.
It's beautiful, and you know, you can't beat the weather. The weather was like 68, 69, 70 degrees, and you know, you got the ocean and then everything else that comes with it. So it was nice to get away for a few days and kind of relax and recharge and come back with full of energy. So excited to be back. All right, guys. So this is an open house course. So it says open house 101, right, in the marketing materials, but really, honestly, it's really going to be much more than just open house 101. Okay, this is really how you can build your business around open houses. Just to kind of give you an idea, guys, I came across open houses pretty much kind of like by accident. I remember I picked up one of my first listings when I was a brand new agent, and the buyer's agent was rolling up to the house in a really fancy car, and I think he was driving like Mercedes-Benz E350. It was like pearl white, and we started having conversation and everything like that. And he's like, yeah, I get most of my business from open houses. So I'm like, open houses? Wow, what a novel idea, open houses. Before that, I heard about him, but most of the agents kind of like, nah, they're just a waste of time, lots of looky-loos, you know, usually you get 1 or 2 people that show up, that's pretty much it. And this guy was like, no, you know what? I'm doing them 3, 4, 5 days out of the week, you know, every single week. And I sell a lot of houses. He's like 40 plus houses every single year. And he was probably in his maybe late 50s, early 60s, but that's how he was getting his business. So that's what really kind of opened my eyes to the open house. And I'll share with you that story, and also, you know, what I've done in the last 8.5, 9 years in terms of getting ready for the open houses and doing them, and then do the follow-up after that with open house guests. All of that I'll share with you in these slides, guys. This is very interactive, so if you do have questions, you know, raise your hand, put it in chat box, or even just speak, have a conversation. That's perfectly fine, guys. But honestly speaking, like if you think about it right now, if you drop me, you know, if you drop me in a completely different city, you know, different town, I don't know anyone, nobody knows me really, and I don't have a sphere, I don't have a marketing budget, or, you know, I really don't have anything, right, in terms of like getting the business. The one lead source that I would focus on from day one, the one business that I would look forward to in terms of getting my business up and running would be open houses. You know, I still believe open houses is probably one of the most effective ways and the most inexpensive ways of getting in front of potential sellers, potential buyers, building your geo farm, and also creating a brand for yourself in your community. So 9 key steps in building a thriving open house business. This is the slides that we're going to go through today. First and foremost, how you pick the right open house. I know in the last 1.5 to 2 years, you didn't really have that many choices or that many options in terms of picking the right house to hold, but lately, things have been changing. We're shifting, we're pivoting. We're seeing more and more listings hitting the market. We're seeing more listings sitting on the market longer than they did before. So this is a great opportunity, guys, for you to be maybe possibly a little bit selective, a little bit more choosy when you're picking your open houses. We're going to break down the differences between neighborhood exclusive open house versus traditional open houses, how they're different, how they benefit you. We're going to talk about preparation, the steps that you got to take before you start holding these open houses, guys. That's very important. Advertising that you're going to have to be doing, marketing collateral, what to actually have with you at these open houses, right? That's very important. So we're going to talk about that, and I'll show you some of the samples that we use. Scripts and objection handlers, like for instance, you're getting people in the door, and now they're going to be asking you questions, or you want to start up a conversation with them. You want to share your value proposition, how really you can get their information, right? So I'm going to share with you the steps that I took when I was holding these open houses, and then how you get 90% of your people that actually visit your open houses to sign up with you. In other words, share their information, their contact information, right? So that's something that we're going to cover as well. Converting these open house leads at a much higher level. I'll show you the process that I use to convert these leads better. And then, of course, the follow-up sequences that you can use as well. Some of it is manual, some of it is going to be automated. So let's get it started, guys. Okay, so first question is, and I think I already kind of shared why we're doing open houses. Like, why should we do more open houses? Who can really answer that question? It's not it's a trivia question, I guess, you know, but it's not a difficult question to answer probably. Why do we do open houses, guys?
To find more leads.
Okay, who is that?
This is Jamie Corris. Sorry, I'm driving, so I just don't have my video on right now.
Oh, no worries, Jamie. No worries. Okay, so is this to find more leads, generate more leads, or to actually sell a house?
Both.
Both. Okay, great. Because when you're talking to the seller, right, you definitely want to make sure that you
Yeah.
tell the seller that you're trying to sell the house, right?
Also,
I'm
I could
sorry.
add something. It's a good way to get yourself in front of multiple people like buyers, sellers, maybe even renters that want to become first-time homeowners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. That's another reason. Any other reasons? So you want to hold open houses? So Vanity right here says gaining more experience, right? Gaining more experience in front of buyers and sellers, right? Like think about it, right, guys? I mean, you can make phone calls the entire day, but you're not getting in front of actual buyers and sellers unless, of course, they allow you to meet with you and schedule a meeting with you or an appointment, right? But where is the other place where you can actually every day go out there and meet potential buyers and sellers at your work? Like open house is probably one of the best ways, or the only way where you can actually do that every single day consistently, right? So this is the reasons why we want to hold open houses, face-to-face interactions with potential sellers and buyers. That's what Vanity said. Great way to find new business as well as future business. That's definitely not only working with the buyers, but also working with the sellers. I picked up a lot of listings from my open houses. So speaking of listings, get more seller leads and more listings. Enhance and promote your brand and your marketing in your geo farm. That's huge, guys. That's actually one of the key pillars in farming or geo farming the neighborhood is open houses. You got to do that, right? Personal and business branding exposure. We will talk about that. And then, like I mentioned to you guys, little or no expense, especially if you're in a partner model. A lot of it is already covered by us. So you know what? If I would find a listing, if I were you, I would be holding an open house every single day. You know, that's what I would do. So let me kind of share a quick story about my first open house. So my first open house was, again, having a conversation with this gentleman who was the buyer's agent, my listing. And like the next day, I started reaching out to the agents in my brokerage. Nobody had a listing available. So there was a listing right across the street from my house where I lived. And at that time, I rented a house at Anthem Country Club. So it's a gated community. It's actually a guarded community. But there was a listing right across from me, and it's been in the market for like 60 days. It was a vacant home. The agent did an open house there maybe once. I don't think it was literally like an hour or two open house. That's pretty much it. So I called the agent up. I introduced myself. I told him that I'm not with his brokerage, but I was living in an area and I just wanted to see if he would be open and letting me have his listing to hold an open house. And he said, yeah, go knock yourself out. I asked him for the signs because I didn't have any signs. That time, brand new agent, you know, and he lent me 5 signs. And with 5 signs, couple of coffees and donuts for the guards with a little, you know, marketing material so they can share it with the people that go inside of that subdivision. I held my first open house. And my first open house, I met a couple, Doug and Sarah. And Doug and Sarah, at that time, they were downsizing. So they had a 2-story house in Arrowhead Ranch, right off here on 75th Avenue in Utopia. And they were looking for a 1-story house, whether it's an Arrowhead Ranch or somewhere newer community, right? And Anthem was one of the areas that they were looking at. They did not like this house. She had a very specific taste. She wanted something that is nicely done and upgraded. I don't blame her. But what I was able to do, I was able to actually make a connection with them, learn a little bit more about their situation, their plans, their goals. And luckily, what I also was able to do, well, it wasn't really a luck because it was actually preparation on my end. I was able to print out a list of all listings in Arrowhead Country Club, and I highlighted the ones that were vacant. So this way, and this is coming from that buyer's agent that I worked on that particular listing, said, look, if they don't like your house, okay, have the flexibility to show them a couple of more other properties in the neighborhood. And this way you're going to be able to, again, show value to them, continue to develop a connection with them or rapport with them, and hopefully ultimately earn their business. So that's exactly what I did. Luckily, this was a vacant home. Luckily, again, preparation, I was able to show them 2 other houses in the neighborhood. They didn't like those 2 other houses, but guess what I was able to find out? I was able to find out that they wanted to sell their house. They were very, very serious about that. They didn't want to wait. I booked a listing appointment the next day. And the next day I went there and I listed their house for $375,000. We sold this house for like in 1 day or 2 days for $375,000. Again, those are prices from 2013. Obviously, the same house right now probably is worth about $750,000, $800,000, maybe possibly $900,000. Who knows? But at that time, $375,000 was still a pretty nice looking house at high price. So $375,000. They also bought a house for me. That's a single level for $565,000. And then the buyers of this property right here. Funny story about this situation, guys. What happened is the buyer's agent for Brian reaches out to me like literally on the day of the closing of the house. And he asked me for a favor. He's like, hey, I live in the East Valley. I got a full-time job. I'm not going to be able to make it until 6:30. I know we're closing like around 3 o'clock. Can you hand the keys for the house to my client? I said, sure, I'll do that. Not a problem. So we meet up with his client, and his clients start asking me questions like, hey, are you pretty much a listing agent? Do you work with the buyers? So I was like, no, I'm a listing agent, even though this is one of my first listings. And he's like, yeah, I see your signs everywhere. And he's like, I live 2 blocks away from here. Would you be open and listing my house? I was like, yeah, but you have a relationship with Jeff, I think his name was, the agent that they're working with. It's like, yeah, Jeff is my buddy, but he lives in the east side of town and he's got a full-time job. And I don't think he really knows this area. Since you work this area, we really feel comfortable working with you. So we listed their house. They also sold this house for $375,000 3 years later for $415,000. Doug and Sarah sold their rental property through me for $340,000. They referred me another client for $275,000. Then Brian purchased a new house for $424,000. Brian's brother-in-law, he listed and bought a house that's $680,000. And then Doug and Sarah's son, and then Brian's brother-in-law parents. Like, as you can see, one open house generated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 transactions. One open house. And I think it was over $107,000 in gross commission income. So one open house that was not even my listing, were not my signs, okay? I was able to get clients that eventually in about 4 years span closed about, referred 11 transactions. So, and I have a couple of other similar stories to this one, that one open house led me to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other transactions, guys. And that's why from day one, I fell in love with open houses. And that's why I said, you know what, after that point on, even though I was very listings heavy, I called every single morning. In afternoon times, 2 to 3 times a week, I would hold open houses. And I would get business from open houses. My objective every single day, guys, was to get at least one listing, one lead a week. That's it. One lead a week for me, that was the number one thing that I got to focus on. That's it. If I can get one lead a week, a solid lead out of the open houses that I held, that's 4 leads a month. Out of those 4, I know I will close at least one. With a better skill set, with more experience, with more knowledge, and with a better market, you can even probably sell 2 or 3 out of those leads every single month. So keep that in mind, guys. It's a great opportunity to hold these open houses, especially right now with the inventory going up, more listings sitting in a market. Sellers are definitely more reasonable in terms of holding open houses. It's a great opportunity, guys. So how do we pick the right open house? Now, you want to make sure that you spend a little bit of time in choosing the right type of an open house. Now, again, in the last 1.5 to 2 years, I know it's been tough. You list a house and within 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, you get multiple offers. Things are definitely changing, as you guys know. So we're seeing more inventory. Okay, you have vacant homes and you have owner-occupied homes, right? I always like to do vacant homes. So this way, for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives me the flexibility. Okay, if I'm a little bit late, it's not going to be the end of the world. If I have to lock up and go and show a house or two, it's not going to be the end of the world. And then the other thing is, I don't really have to worry about personal belongings. Okay, like you do realize if you're holding an open house on a property that is owner occupied, there are going to be some personal belongings. And that's a risk, right? So ideally, when I held regular open houses, there were vacant homes, but then again, you will have a listing, you will have an opportunity, it's owner occupied, that's personal property. I'm not saying don't do it, just be extra careful with it, and ideally bring somebody with you, okay? The second thing I look at is the price point. For me, the price point is very important because if I'm going to be holding open houses and there are two listings, one at let's say 600,000 or 500,000, another one is about 850 or 900. Honestly, if I would have those two listings that are available to me, I would do the one that is $800,000 or $900,000. Why? The open house is going to be the same, okay, but the buyer pool is going to be a little bit different, probably more qualified because again they're going conventional. And then also the fact that the commissions are going to be higher. So there's a big difference between $14,000 or $15,000 commission check. And then of course you have a $20,000 or $25,000 commission check. So you're holding an open house. It's the same listings in terms of availability. I would hold it for the price ranges that are a little bit higher. Okay. Another thing is ideally you want to make sure that the open house is located in the area where there are not too many turns. Okay, I held open houses where the property was tucked away all the way in the back of the subdivision, too many turns, and I would just not get a lot of traffic that way. Okay, again, you want to make sure that you prepare ahead of time, look at the number of turns, you know, no more than 4 to 5 turns. But again, if that's the only open house you have that is available, do it. Make sure you can put out signs. Some locations would not allow you to have more than 5 signs, but in most of the locations around the valley, 10, 15, 20 signs. At one point, I remember I had 40 to 50 signs I would put out. So it's really, really up to you. The more, the merrier. Look for a nice curb appeal when it comes to the houses. That's important. And I tell you why. I had situations where the curb appeal was very questionable, very iffy, maybe dead plants or dead grass, and the tree was all old and beat up. And it just didn't really look nice from the outside. So the people would pull up, they see it, and then they would just, you know, drive away because again, they didn't really like the way it looked outside from the outside. Ideally, you want to look for an open house that has nice upgrades inside. The reason being is because people like nice things. And when you have nice upgrades, when the house looks nice and it looks moving and ready and the furniture shows great, they're going to stay a little bit longer inside of the house. Again, this is from my experience. Search for the right houses, you know, to hold weekly. Again, this is something that I would do right now. I would definitely go through our listing inventory every other day and kind of see what's going on. There's some houses that actually under contract may fall through. They're going to be available again. So definitely make sure you check it every other day. And then of course, developing a relationship with the agents inside of our brokerage that list homes, but maybe do not hold open houses on a consistent basis. This is a great opportunity, guys, for you to reach out to them. That's what agents do. I have a few listings right now, and the agents reach out to me, and you know, they hold open houses on my listings. Okay, at the end of the day, guys, just pick one, make a decision. I always choose to just make a decision and go with it. Okay. I know ideally we want to have this, we want to do that, but the world doesn't work. The life doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to check all of the boxes. Just pick one, you know, property to hold an open house at. It's better to do it somewhere where it's not checks all the boxes, or maybe have too many turns, where you don't have enough signs. I'd rather have that versus not doing an open house, which means that it doesn't give you an option or an opportunity to meet prospective clients. Okay, so let's talk about the preparation piece of it, which is, I think, super, super critical. And I think sometimes we just take it for granted, thinking, all right, cool, it's an open house, right? How tough that would be, or I kind of know the area, or this and that. Honestly, the more information you have ahead of time, the better you're going to look. You're going to look in front of the seller. You're going to look in front of the potential buyers, you know, and then also like the other agents are going to be there, right? You want to definitely learn up as much as possible when it comes to the house, when it comes to the neighborhood, when it comes to the amenities inside of the house, the upgrades, right? The things that were done to the house in the last few years. If this is not your listing, it's your obligation, guys. If your obligation to reach out to the listing agent and get that information. The more info you have, the better you're going to sound, the more confident you're going to look, the more conversations you're going to be able to have, the extended conversations, what I mean by with the open house visitors, right? Ideally, I would actually preview the listing either virtually or physically, just driving in the neighborhood and just kind of learning about the neighborhood. Also, like we mentioned in an earlier slide, make a note of the ones that are vacant. Again, you can do it, through your phone, or you can actually print out a list of all the vacant home, especially right now, again, with the inventory going up. There's going to be more properties in the neighborhood that is going to be available. Research the comps, right? So like, for instance, you want to know what's currently under contract. You want to know what's pending, closed, temporarily off the market, expired, and cancels. Again, if you're going to have a potential seller who's a neighbor, who's stopping by the open house and they're having questions or asking you questions or interviewing you, right? What do you think about the market? Where is it going? What do you guys think about the subdivision, right? That you guys are currently, holding an open house. They're going to be asking all these type of questions. So you want to be prepared with that information. Also, make yourself familiar with average sold price per square foot, days in the market. Again, the more information you guys have, the better it is for you. Map out sign placement. If you're going to be placing 15 signs or 10 signs, right, or even 5 signs beforehand, before you actually arrive there, just pull up a map and kind of map out where you're going to put those signs in, right? And also, here's another thing, guys. If you're going to be doing an open house, I mean, unless you have another event or another engagement or maybe a showing or another appointment in an earlier or later, try to make the entire day type of an event, right? At least 4 hours in a day, right? 4 hours in a day for the open houses, guys. The whole thing is like doing a 1 hour open house or 2 hours in a house, open house. It's just kind of like, I feel like you're limiting yourselves, right? Because you never know who will walk in at the last minute or the next hour. That can be, again, that $10, $15, $20, $30,000 commission check and the client for life for you guys. All right. Any questions before I continue?
Yeah. Hey, Alan, Max.
What's up, Max?
Yeah. So maybe it's not going to be so much of a consideration now going forward with the increased number of listings available and extended days of market, but sometimes you come across a situation where you prepare for the open house, and then when the day comes, Friday, Thursday, whatever you choose, now the property is actually pending.
Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned something, maybe that pending contract will fall out, and then you still have an opportunity to sell that particular house. But do you still do the open house on a pending, or it seems like it's people walk in, they go, oh, I love this house, let's make an offer. Well, you can make a backup offer, somebody else has already made an offer. Chances are it's not going to fall through because there's so few properties available and blah, blah, blah. You get my point.
Yeah.
What's your opinion or take on that?
My opinion is, if that's the only open house that you have available for you and you're already prepared for it, and the seller and the listing agent are okay with you holding an open house, you hold an open house, even though it's under pending or under contract, right? And here's what you're going to find, right? The ones that are pending or in a contract, you're still going to get showings, but most likely those showings are going to be just people that are going there, like buyers and sellers, versus the ones accompanied with, with the agent. Because the agent is not going to show an open house that is currently on the contract or pending. Right. But you will get maybe few people, but those people are going to be without agents, and you may even have a better connection with them or many better opportunities with them, and really kind of developing that rapport relationship with them, versus you have a lot of people coming in and most of them with the agents.
And
Ellen,
so
can I
how
pop
do you-
in real quick? Sorry. I just want to concur. I totally agree. The show must go on. So as long as you have the seller's permission, absolutely. The show must go on. Plus you have a lot of buyers that are searching the internet for homes and they don't have realtors. They have already planned their day out to
Yep.
attend your open house. So you sit at the open house as if you're under contract accepting backup offers, because they haven't even gone through the inspection period and the appraisal, and there's so many ways why a deal can fall through. And the buyers don't have final approval yet. It's just a pre-qualification letter. So yeah, the show must go on. Absolutely. I agree.
So what's your, how do you explain that? I mean, maybe it's less complicated than I'm making it, but somebody comes in, wow, we love this place. Well,
Yeah,
here's the good news, bad news.
Yeah, I mean, basically it's fairly easy, and say, look, I mean, we just got it on our contract and it's under contract accepting backups. So if they're seriously about this house, they want to write an offer on it, you just submit an offer as a backup offer.
Okay, all right, fair, yeah, easy enough.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you got it. You bet.
Ellen, this is Jamie. I have a follow-up question to that and then one additional. Are we able to hold an open house on a property that is coming soon as opposed to active?
If we are, yeah, absolutely. You know, you can hold an open house the day before that property hits the market. You can hold an open house on that one.
Okay. And then just going back to something you mentioned in the very beginning, where you said that you found it best to hold open houses 2 to 3 days per week.
Yep.
I guess the general assumption would be Saturday, Sunday are the most active. What other day, and aside of those other 5, would you recommend to avoid or you think are the best?
Honestly, I don't think there's a day during the week that you should avoid. I mean, I had my best open houses on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
Okay.
Because there's no one else that was holding open houses in that subdivision or that neighborhood, or probably even in that zip code. And the buyers, they're active buyers that were looking, they were serious buyers, and the only open house that buy, it was mine.
That's a good point. Okay.
You see, so again, the beautiful thing about open houses is the fact that you just never know how many people you're gonna get, who are you gonna get, are they gonna be buyers, are they gonna be sellers, how many leads you're gonna be able to get out of them, right? The only way to find out is to actually hold those open houses. You know, and my goal was always, like, from day one. Now, initially it was like, I want to get as many leads as possible. But then honestly, I would hold open houses on the same listing 4 days in a row. And there's one day I would get 8 visitors. The next day I would get 1 visitor. The third day I would get maybe 2 or 3 visitors. And the fourth day I would get 0. So we're talking about the same open house, the same everything, the same times during the week, but I would get 8 the first day and then 2 or 3 the next day and 0 the fourth day. But my goal was like, if I can just get 1 solid lead a week from an open house, from the open houses that I'm holding, okay, I'm happy with that. I'm content with that. Because if I do them on a weekly basis, I can get 3 or 4 solid leads out of it. And I know I can close at least 1, possibly even 2. But then you have 4 other ones or 5 other ones that you actually have in your database, in your pipeline, and you're still reaching out to them. They're still getting information from you. You're still educating them on what's going on with the market. You're still sending them property alerts on a daily basis. So they're still getting stuff from you, and they will come, you know, hopefully 1 or 2 of them will materialize and become your clients as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You got it?
Hey, Alan, I just want to pop in really quick just to answer her question as
Virginia.
well. I agree. Any day of the week is fine. I'm finding that Friday and Saturdays are really good times, and mostly in the early afternoons. Specifically Sun City, you have an older crowd and they wake up early. So if you're going to do open houses in Sun City, any day of the week is really good. They love weekdays, but it has to be early for them. Anytime before 11 a.m. You know, if you can do 8 a.m. to 11 or noon, that's a perfect time that I found Sun City works really well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Virginia. I think any active adult community, 55 and over community, I think mornings would be definitely better off than evenings, or I mean afternoons. Chris had a question, the same question. I don't know, Chris, if Virginia was able to answer your question, but again, it's completely up to you. I mean, ideally, most of the open houses are held in afternoon times, like from 1 o'clock to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, right now it gets dark, pretty late, close to 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So, I mean, if you have the time, anytime from 11 o'clock to 4 or 5, that would be ideal. Again, like treat it like a day in the office, right? And by the way, if there are going to be situations, and there will be many times where you don't have a traffic, you don't have people going in, you can still do your work. You can still follow up on your database. You can still do some marketing, some posting on Facebook, right? All of that stuff still can be done from that open house, right? That's another reason I like it, is because the fact that if there's no action and there are people stopping, I mean, I can still do my work. Okay. All right. On a day of the open house, guys, ideally, and this is for me, like doing this, I usually arrived about an hour to 2 hours before the scheduled time. So for instance, if let's say the open house schedule for 1 o'clock, 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, I would be there like at around 11 o'clock. Right? It takes me about half an hour to 45 minutes to set everything up. Okay. And here's what I mean by setting up everything, right? So I want to make sure if the house has blinds or shutters, I want to make sure they're at 45-degree angle, right? Ceiling fans have to be turned on. The lights have to be turned on. If it's during the summer and it's 100, 105, 110 degrees outside, make sure the AC is set at 74 or 75. It takes time for the AC to cool down. So you got, again, the temperature to cool down. So make sure you're there ahead of time to do that right away. If you're going to be bringing like bottles of water, or if you're going to be bringing some food or whatever it is, make sure you set it up in a sanitary place. Make it really nice. The same thing with your marketing materials. Do exactly the same thing. I'll show you a picture of our marketing materials in a second. Okay. Don't rush. Been there many times as well. When I was rushing, especially during the summer months, you're sweating and you're this or you're that, and then you got to go outside, you put out the signs, and then you already see the cars following you because they're waiting for you to open the doors, and you're just not 100% prepared. You got to be prepared for this. That's why take the time, show up early, okay, set everything up, okay? The next thing that you want to do before you put out signs, what you want to do is you want to invite neighbors over. Okay, well, what do? I mean, how do you invite neighbors over, right? What you do is you knock on their door, smiling, right? High energy, lots of energy, and just say, hello, my name is Alan with Best Homes Real Estate. I'm an agent that is holding an open house 2 doors down from you today from 1 to 5 o'clock. I would love if you can swing by, take a look at it, and give us some feedback. The sellers are very motivated. They want to sell the house. They want to know what the buyers or the neighbors are thinking about the house, the showing condition of the house, and the price. Can I count on you? And they're going to say yes, or they're going to say no. But at least this way, you introduce yourself. You hand them your contact information, a flyer or a business card, ideally a flyer with the business card, okay? And before you leave, you ask them a question. Hey, by the way, the market is still pretty hot right now. Have you thought about selling your house? You ask that question before you leave. So the reason we do that, again, is to make sure they see you, they know who you are. You give them your contact information, and you want to see if maybe they're possibly interested in selling their home. So do 20 of those, at least 20 doors. That will take you no more than half an hour, maybe 40 minutes. And that's why it's so important for you guys to, again, arrive an hour to 2 hours before scheduled time, set everything up inside, start knocking on doors. Then what you do is you're putting out signs. You put out signs outside in, outside in. Remember where you put your signs though, very important, and how many signs you put out. Make sure you don't put them on a sidewalk too, all right? That's a hazard. Don't put them on the signs. If you're gonna be putting on somebody's lawn or somebody's property, make sure, again, you introduce yourself and get the authorization to put your sign on their personal property. Okay, and once you do all of these 4 steps, now it's the game time. It's the game time. And it's like a game time. It's your time. It's your opportunity to shine. You prepared the day, 2 days, 3 days, a week ahead. You done all of your homework. You done all of your research. You got everything in place. You set it up. You made it really look nice, super professional. It's time for you to get the business. And that's why it's so important, I think, to hold these open houses for at least 4 or 5 or 6 hours a day versus doing an hour or 2 or 3. Okay. Any questions about the setup, guys?
Hey, Alan, one question for the neighbor part.
Yeah.
I know some agents also like get a list from Kelly, and they also either personally call all of them, or they like make a video and they send it out to them like through like social media. Is that another good way to do it also, or do you just recommend the door knocking because that might be a little personal?
It's so much more personal, so much more personable when you're actually in front of them, and again, smiling, and you're not selling anything. You're not selling anything. You're not selling a service. You're not selling a product, right? You're not selling anything. All you're doing is you're introducing yourself. You're introducing the company. You're letting them know that you're holding an open house 2 or 3, 4 doors down, and you're just personally inviting them over to stop by your open house so they can give you the feedback. Or if they can invite somebody, maybe the friends that they know that thinking of moving or moving into this neighborhood, maybe they can let them know that you're holding an open house. Okay, so that's step 1. The step 2 is the fact that you got to give them your information, make sure it's something nice, ideally colored flyer with your info, your contact information, ideally some sort of a call to action, find out how much your house is worth. Whatever whatever call to action or unique selling proposition you have, you want to have it on that flyer. And then the third thing is, before you leave, you almost kind of like subtly, oh, by the way, oh, shucks, I forgot. Like the market is on fire, or used to be. The market is still pretty strong. Have you thought about selling your home? And see what the reaction they're going to get. They're going to give you. They can say no. They can think for a second and then say no. That means there's something to it. Or they can say, guess what? Yes, we're thinking. Johnny is thinking of retiring maybe 6 months from now and want to move to Colorado. So now you got a lead. But the only way to find that out, Eddie, is to actually invite them over, right?
Okay,
Cool.
cool.
All right. Okay, so just to kind of give you guys, this is the setup that I had for the open houses right here. Again, this again, it varies. It's different setups that, we have agents that did the setups, we have feedback sheets right here. We have buyer presentations. We have our VIP buyer presentation right here, the steps it takes to buy a house. Some agents would have an iPad where they can put their information in. We have a CRM that actually will sync up with the feedback app that is within that sync database. So all they have to do just put their information in. It'll put that information into your CRM and start sending them properties right away with your contact information. The next step I want to talk to you guys about is the neighborhood exclusive open houses. So that's the next set of open houses that we did maybe starting about 5 years ago, 4.5, 5 years ago, because we were farming a specific area in Northwest Valley, And I wanted to get as many neighbors as possible to show up in my open houses. And we started doing what we call neighborhood exclusive open houses. So we would do a red carpet rollout. We would just put the signs inside of the subdivision. We'll do a beautiful like charcuterie platter with bottles of wine and cheese and bottles of water. It's a really, really nicely professionally set up open house, and we would just invite neighbors over. So the objective for us was to get at least 20 to 30 neighbors or groups of people that show up at the open house, right? And out of those 20 to 30 groups, right, we want to get at least 5 to 10 seller leads. Okay, these are nurturers, right? The second goal was obviously, this is the first one to get the business. The second one was to make sure, I wouldn't say even the second, it's always important to make sure that you're showcasing the listing. You're obviously presenting yourself to the neighbors. You're marketing your brand. You're marketing your team if you have a team. And then, of course, you're definitely letting everybody know that you're doing things a little bit differently than the other agents in that particular community, right? So this setup, neighborhood exclusive open houses, is ideal with the new or coming soon listings. Okay, Jamie, I think had a question about the fact that can you do an open house? I would definitely do an open house the day before on this type of with this type of an open house, right? So before it goes live, let's say on Friday, on Thursday, I would do an open house and I just invite the neighbors over. Okay, that's what I would do. And what I like about it is the fact that the neighbors cannot really search or research that property on Zillow yet or on Redfin yet. So they're very obviously inquisitive. They want to know what's inside of it, what was done to it and everything like that. So you're probably going to have more walk-ins that way versus if it's already live. Ideally, you want to have something that is nicely done inside, upgraded, but it's not a must. Sign placement is inside of the neighborhood only. Again, we don't put any signs outside of the subdivision, outside of the neighborhood. It's only inside. This is a must right here. You got to have food. You got to have beverages to draw traffic, and not only drawing the traffic, but you also want to make sure that when the people inside of the house, they're drinking, they're eating, they're having a good time, they're enjoying, right? And this is a great opportunity for you to mingle and develop connections with them. It's got to look nice inside and out. You probably would need another agent, maybe possibly partner up with your title rep or your loan officer or somebody who can be there. Because if you're going to do something like this, you will get traffic. You will get a lot of people that are going to come in because, again, when they see food, they see drinks, they see a brand new listing, nicely done, you will get people in the door. Okay. Ideal time for it is Thursdays. We tried Fridays, didn't really get that many responses. Thursdays from 4 to 7 p.m. You would do them at least once a month, our new listings, coming soon listings, and would get a lot of people. That's how I was able to generate a lot of business from my farm, was really this, doing these neighborhood exclusive open houses, and they work like a charm. Any questions about this one, guys? Okay, so like at one point, just to kind of give you an idea, I don't know if this link is still active or anything like that. Let me see if it is. One open house generated 3 additional listings on the same street. I don't know if it's still there, but let me check this. So this is what we call the neighborhood domination. Okay, so listing 1, listing 2, listing 3, and I think there was another one right here on the other side of the road. So listing number 4, right here. So one open house generated 3 additional listings literally within a 30-day time frame. One open house. Again, it can happen to you guys as well. This is from my experience doing it. You guys can do exactly the same thing. That's why it's so important, guys. Like, especially if you can focus more on the listings and generate listings, okay? And then leverage those listings by holding these open houses, right? Start corresponding, communicating with the neighbors, provide value to them, make sure you get their information, make sure they're in your CRM, in your database, make sure they're getting something from you on a monthly basis at least, right? A market update video, maybe a CMA on a monthly basis through HomeBot, right? Getting that information to them is going to be so valuable because people are going to sell, they're going to sell. And if they get something from you on a monthly basis, they're going to call you. There's a good chance they're going to call you. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay. All right. How do we get traffic? So with the neighborhood exclusive open houses, it's different because you are planning, right? So let's say you picked up a listing, and let's say it's going to be ready in about 2 weeks. The sellers are decluttering, they're maybe painting the outside, they're maybe working on their landscaping, cleaning their pool, this or that. So it takes about 2 weeks to get it ready. Okay. The first thing, as soon as it's ready, you want to take pictures, you want to create marketing collaterals, you want to record a video invite. And now this video invite, like Eddie said, you can blast it on Facebook, all right, to that particular zip code. You can also post it to your Facebook page. You can also email it to all of your database if you want to, or if you have a custom list of all of your clients in Facebook, you can do exactly the same thing. You're just inviting people over. You post invite house pics on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, email it to your database. We just talked about that. You can take the step further by actually inviting people, like by mailing them the invites a few days before. You can do that. Circle prospecting the neighborhood via phone or door knocking. You can do that. And then, of course, put out 10 to 20 open house signs inside of the neighborhood. Marketing collateral, the more the merrier, honestly, in my opinion. And as you guys know, we have an in-house marketing team and we can get a lot of the stuff for you. So open house invitations, seller guides, checklists, buyer guides, checklists, feedback sheets, important, quality property flyers with pics and selling features, business cards, client testimonials, swag for the neighbors, pull-up banners, red carpet, like all of that is something that you guys can do. You can start with all of this right here. I know we have a red carpet in our office. I believe we have a pull-up banner as well. So like, but a lot of the stuff you guys have it in your possession, the more marketing stuff you have, the better you're going to look. Not only in front of the sellers, but also in front of the neighbors and also all the visitors that are going to stop by. All right, good. So guys, let's talk about now the power of script. So you got everything ready. You invited the neighbors over. The signs are out. The doors are open, right? And now you're like, okay, cool. What do I do? Okay, so that's very important. First and foremost, you got to have a mindset that this is your domain. Like you worked very hard in getting ready for this open house. Very hard. You did your homework. You did your research. You knocked on doors. You put the signs outside. It's 105 degrees outside, right? I mean, you're taking the entire day to do this open house. That means the mindset has got to be game time. That means that, you know what? Every person that comes in, they got to go through me. That should be your mindset. Every person that comes in, they got to go through me. All right. Not standing in a corner, not saying like, or not looking at your phone while people walking around. They got to go through you. Okay. This is your open house. You, the listing agent, or you're presenting the listing agent, you're representing the seller. Okay. They got to go through you. Okay. That's the mindset you got to have from day one. Okay. Another thing to remember is the fact that you got to be able to start up a conversation with them and start developing that conversation during the tour, right? So ideally, you want to have some sort of a first or 2 or 3 questions memorized for the buyers as well as the sellers. There are scripts that we have available that you can access to. For instance, just to kind of give you an idea, if let's say, and this is the way I do it, right? So if somebody walks in the door, you know, again, I'm dressed to impress, I'm smiling, I got energy, I ate something, right? I'm like I got, you know, this is like, I want to get this client, right? I shake their hand, I ask for their names, I have a feedback sheet with me. I'm holding a feedback sheet with me, right? I write down their names right away. Why? Because I'm bad with names. I forget names. So I always write their names. That's the first thing, right? And what I ask them is, do they live in a neighborhood or they're shopping for the next home? The reason I want to know that is because if they live in a neighborhood, they're potentially a seller. They know this neighborhood. I don't need to educate them on this neighborhood. Most likely, I don't have to educate them on the property itself because they're probably kind of in the same type of a property, right? So my question has to be now different for them versus somebody who is looking to buy a house in a neighborhood, right? So if it's a seller, it's a different set of questions. If it's a showing someone who's looking, it's a buyer, there's a different set of questions for the buyer. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, you may get some objections. Okay, and what is the objection? There's a big difference between a condition and an objection. Objection, and here's a definition of an objection. An objection is a trust gap between you and the prospect, and it needs to be satisfied before they will commit to you. So this is the issue with the objection a lot of times. It's a trust gap issue. It's not that they don't like you. It's not like they don't want to deal with you. It's not like they're not interested in the product or the services or a combination of both. It's the fact that they don't know you. They don't really trust you. How many times do you guys go to the store to buy something and the sales clerk asks you, can I help you? And the first words out of your mouth is like, no thanks, I'm looking. Please raise your hand. How many of you? Probably most of us, right? Including me. If I'm going to go shop, and trust me, I'm not one of those people that shops. Like I cannot stand the stores, honestly. I go in, I go out. I buy it, I go out. I'm not going to be standing there or looking through the clothes or anything like that. I just don't do that. But when I go there for a reason. I want to buy something. But every time I walk in and somebody asks me, can I help you? I was like, hey, I'm just looking. It's almost kind of, we have a little recording in the back of our head that's constantly basically says, I'm just looking, I'm just looking. The same thing with the people that show up in your open house. They're going to say, you know what, I'm just looking, I'm just browsing, I have an agent, whatever that reason is, they're going to give you that reason. Why? Because they're not really trusting you yet. Now, a condition is something that you or your prospect cannot control or change at this point. Okay, so let me give you an example of both. Examples of objections and conditions. Example, the most common objections you get at the open houses is, I'm just looking, I have an agent, I'm not ready to buy, I'm not ready to list. Right? How many of you guys get these type of objections every time you're holding an open house?
Me, another objection I get a lot, I'm looking for a friend.
Oh, great. I'm looking for a friend. Here's my objection to that objection, or my objection handler to that. Yeah, let's get on a FaceTime with your friend, and I'm going to show your friend what everything about this house. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to get these objections. And they, by the way, is not only going to happen in open houses, that's going to happen when you're making phone calls, when you're door knocking, when you're sending an email. You will encounter objections on a daily basis. So our job as realtors, more importantly, as real estate sales professionals, because we're sales professionals, is to constantly work on their skill and enhancing our objection handling. That's got to be done. If you're going to be there for 5 or 6 hours, make sure you prepared as much as you can be when it comes to these objections. So the most common objections, again, this is from my experience, it's going to be, I'm just looking, I have an agent. Those are the two most common ones. Okay, Eddie has another one, I'm looking for a friend. Okay, and then of course you have, I'm not ready to buy or not ready to list. The most common conditions is to do something with the retirement. Let's say, for instance, they say, well, you know, we cannot do anything. We cannot buy or we cannot sell until Johnny retires. Okay, when is he retiring? Well, he's retiring 6 months from now. Okay, so we cannot really do anything for 6 months. Financial. Well, our credit is in the toilet, or we need to save some money for a down payment, or we were priced out. We were looking to buy at about 500,000 because of the higher interest rates. Now we're like around 400, 420, and we just cannot find anything that we like. That can be a condition, or it can be possible an objection, right? You may find them something 420, maybe not in that neighborhood, maybe outside of that neighborhood. It doesn't check all the boxes, but most of the boxes, and they'll be happy campers, right? Health related, divorce situation. Those are all common conditions. But you got to be able to decipher, you got to be able to differentiate which ones are objections and which ones are conditions. Okay? Any questions about this, guys? Okay. All right. Okay, the next slide is, let's say, for example, you got somebody and you're walking with them, right? Remember I told you when I meet a buyer or a seller, doesn't matter, open house visitors, I have a feedback sheet with me. It's there for a reason or two. Number one, I want to make sure I write down their information, their names. Number two, I'm carrying with me when I'm walking with them inside of the house. And that's there for a reason. Because as soon as I feel like they're getting more comfortable with me, as soon as I feel like they're getting their guard down, they're kind of like more talkative, they're answering my questions more freely, and they're kind of sharing their goals and their plans and everything like that, that's when I ask them, hey, you know what? Can you do me a huge favor? The seller, my seller, is super motivated. They're very interested in selling a house, and they're really we're hoping to get some feedback from this open house. Would you take a few seconds or so and just kind of give us your thinking, what you're thinking about the house, what your feedback is like, so this way I can share it with the seller. Again, if you present it in a way where it's not in the beginning stages of this, if you're presenting when you feel like, you know what, they're getting comfortable with you, okay, 90% of the time, they will put their information in. Now, if they don't put their information in, okay, there's a way of getting their information. So for instance, they give you the feedback, but their phone number is blank, their email is blank, right? What is more important to you guys, their phone number or their email address?
Phone number.
Phone number, right? Everybody in agreement? Phone number, right? Okay, so this is the way I usually get their phone number, okay? I say, hey guys, I know you mentioned to me that you've been looking for about, a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and you're gonna want specifically to be in this area, correct? Always confirm. Yeah, correct, yeah. And the reason you wanna be here is because, Johnny goes to, wants to go to the school district, and it's very important for you guys to be in this type of neighborhood. Yeah, absolutely, that's where we wanna be. Hey, so I don't know, guys, I don't know if you're interested or not, but our brokerage or my team or I do a lot of business in the area, and we get some buyers and some sellers that are interested in possibly selling their homes in the near future. right? And we have that information. Is that something that if, let's say, we come across, is that something that we can maybe possibly text it to you? Is that something you would be open to? Like getting information before it hits the market? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. Great. What's a good phone number for you? What's a good phone number for you? And you just take their phone number, right? Now you got their phone. We do a lot of business in this area. We do quite a bit of business in this area. We may know a seller or two that is interested in selling to the right type of a buyer. Would you like us to send you some information about that potential listing in the near future? Is that something you would be open to? Yeah, absolutely, I would be open to it. Great. What's a good phone number for you? Okay. Always ask, what's the worst thing can happen?
Alan, I just want to pop in really quick. Whenever I get somebody's phone number, I literally pull out my phone and I dial their number as they're verbally telling it to me.
Beautiful. Love
I
it.
call them. I literally call them. So they don't know that. They think I'm just putting their number in my phone.
Yeah.
So I call them. They tell me their number 602-555-5555. I'm dialing it in my phone and I hit send. So I'm ringing their phone just to verify it's a good number.
Yeah, absolutely. Loved it. You know what? You can even take a step further when you do that, and I've done it a few occasions. I would call their number and then say, hey, do me a huge favor. Just store me in your phone book as Realtor Alan K. Realtor Alan K. So they actually do it. Right? But I had a conversation with an agent a week ago, week and a half ago. It's one of our newer agents. And he's like, man, Alan, I held this open house and this is like a $2+ million listing. We had a few people that show up and there was this couple from Tucson and I had such a great rapport with them. We spoke for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and they're looking to buy. I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's great. So what's the next step? We had a really good conversation. I was like, okay, well, did you did you like ask him for any information? No, I did not. Did you ask him for their phone number? No, I did not. Did you ask him for their email address? No, I did not. So you had a 45-minute conversation with them and you did not ask for anything. Well, Alan, I just didn't know how to approach it, and I didn't know what to say, or I didn't know if I would be too pushy. There's no such thing as being pushy. Yeah, if you're doing it up front, it's pushy. But if you had a 40-minute conversation with them, and there's a reason they're having that conversation with you, if they don't like you, if they don't trust you, they're not going to have a 45-minute conversation with you. If they're having that extended conversation with you, offer them something in exchange. Say, look, there's another property that's going to be hitting the market soon. Is it okay for me to send you that information as well? Great. What's a good phone number for you? Always ask. The worst thing that can happen, they say no. It's okay. That's perfectly fine. But if you don't ask, you just don't know. You cannot get. This is the copy of the feedback sheet, guys. I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with it. All right, open house lead conversion follow-up system. All right, so this is probably one of the most important things in addition to getting people in the door, right? So setting up, inviting neighbors over, making sure everything looks professional, doing your homework on the open house, on the property, on the neighborhood, the comps, all of that is important. When you're talking to somebody, you get their information, great, congratulations, okay? But that's one step. There's another step. And this step is super important. If you want to convert these leads to a much higher level, this has got to be done. And ideally, you want to get this done on the same day. On the same day. So all of the leads that you accumulated, you put them in your database in your CRM right away. You create custom searches right away. You send them an email and text with the selected listings right away. You record a short selfie video thanking them for stopping by and letting them know that you just send them properties right away. You follow up with them 30 to 60 minutes later or after you finish with your open house. to confirm A, they received the listings, and B, schedule the time to start showing them homes. This is all got to be done that day, folks. That day, it has to be done. Do not leave it till the next day. Do not leave it 2 days from now. Do not wait. There's no reason to wait. There's no reason to see what happens. Like, go for it right away. Put in information. You all have databases. They're all accessible via phone. Put their information in there. Send them a couple of properties. Send them a quick selfie video, literally 10 or 15-second video. Okay. And then follow up with them that day. Okay. Any questions about this slide? Okay. The follow-up is key, by the way. Here's another thing. Okay. Most of these leads, or most of these people that you get information, all right, they may be 30, 60, 90 days out, maybe 6 months out, right? Which is fine. Our job every day is to build our pipeline, right? The way you're going to be able to grow in this business is you have to have a healthy pipeline that you constantly replenishing. You have to. So you're going to have a combination of leads that are ready to do something now, 2 months from now, or 6 months from now. That's perfectly fine, okay? But you got to have a follow-up sequence and follow-up schedule for each of them. Somebody who's ready to sell or buy, you definitely want to follow up with them immediately, right? Every 7 days, at least, you want to follow up with them. And again, not only via phone call, not via text, but video, okay? Social media platforms, and also email. They got to be able to get stuff from you from all of those channels. Same thing with buy or ready to sell in 90 days and 90 plus, okay? This is gonna make you money right here, guys. Follow up, follow up, follow up. You want to make money in this business, you want to consistently close deals in this business, this has got to be a part of your business model. This has got to be your part of your routine, right? Leads are always going to be there. The question is, what are you going to do with that lead? Is that lead just going to just sit there on a piece of paper? Is that lead just going to sit there in a database? You're not getting anything from you? Or is that lead going to be receiving something from you, ideally on a weekly basis? You have to make that decision. Whether you want to do this consistently and work those leads, or they're just going to kind of be almost kind of like a revolving door policy. Every week you're going to get a lead or two. If they say no to you initially, or they're not ready, you just kind of forget about them and you chase another lead, and you chase another lead, and you chase another lead. Don't chase other leads. Work the leads that you have. Work the leads that you have. This is very important, by the way. In our business, a lot of it is psychology based. There are 80% of psychology, 20% skill set. That's why I always believe that mindset is really what separates you from being a super successful person. Our number one belief or limiting belief is our limiting beliefs, if you think about it. Like, our number one downfall is our limiting beliefs. So we got to be constantly focusing on our mindset and making sure that, like, remember I told you guys, when you're doing an open house, it's game time. That's your domain. That's your kingdom. That's your house. They got to go through you. That's the mindset you got to have. You got to have a mindset that you are the best agent to help them with their real estate needs. You got to be the mindset that you know everything about the neighborhood, or most of it about the neighborhood. The same thing with a house. That's the all psychology piece of it. You got to believe in yourself and your ability. The rest of it is going to be skill set. Skill set is important. Remember, preparing for the open house, learning the comps, okay? Learning the scripts, handling the objections. All of those things are skills, and that's something can be learned, and that's something you got to be focusing on. Remember, 1/3 of your business every day should be focusing on skills. The other 1/3 of the business should be focusing on your business development, and the other 1/3 of the business should be focusing on marketing and promoting and branding yourself. We all have to fear rejection and fear of confrontation. Again, Don't feel like somehow these people are gonna like flip you a bird or whatever it is, or they're gonna be confrontational with you. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. But if you don't ask for that business, if you don't ask for that phone number, if you don't ask to help them with their real estate needs, somebody else will, and you lost a client who, by the way, in the life of that client relationship with you, can probably buy and sell 4 or 5 times, probably refer 4 or 5 other clients to you, and you missed out on $50, $60, $100,000 in commissions. You just spent 4 or 5 hours holding an open house, and you did not ask for their business, missing out on 10, 15, 20, 30, $40,000 commission checks. That's how you got to think about it. Okay, so 3 key steps to take and build a thriving open house business, guys. Again, decision number 1, discipline to make a decision, discipline to start. Okay, not every open house is going to be perfect. Not every open house is going to check all the boxes. Not every open house is going to look the best. Not every open house is going to be active open house. It's okay. You made a decision to hold one, hold one. You made a decision to hold 2, hold 2. All right, and progress. Be patient. And what I mean by that is that not every open house is going to go according to the schedule or plan. And what I mean by that is not every open house is going to have a bunch of visitors, bunch of leads. Most of them are not going to talk to you. It's okay. As long as, again, your goal every week, you want to have 1 solid lead out of your open houses. Number 3, be part of positive environments. Surround yourself with the right mentors. So surround yourself with other agents that are killing with open houses, killing with the listings. Okay, that's very, very important. And more importantly is you got to give it at least 90 days. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing's going to happen next week or 2. You will not become a pro in the next week or 2. It took me months and months to get comfortable with open houses, months. Right? But as long as you're constantly learning, as long as you're constantly adapting, as long as you're constantly challenging yourself, being patient, being resilient, understanding that's part of the long play, okay, trusting the process, disattaching yourself from the results, okay, things are going to happen. You're going to start seeing the results, okay? That's about it, guys. Any questions before we wrap this up? No questions.
Jamie, you have your hand raised. I wasn't sure. I think that's just from a previous question, but just wanted to make sure you don't have a question.
Yeah, no, it was just in response to when Alan asked previously if a question, I can't recall exactly what it was, but he said, raise your hand if you experienced this. And that was, it was delayed in trying to find the hand raise.
Oh, gotcha. Perfect.
Thank you though.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I guess the biggest challenge is honestly just putting what Alan suggested and recommended in practice. I think that's the most challenging part. We attend a lot of these workshops, get a lot of advice, write it down, put it in our cheat sheets. It's just a matter of putting it into action. So I hope this was of value to you all. There's lots of options when it comes down to hosting open houses and inventory, like Alan said when he first started the workshop today. So really select wisely. You and buyers have options now. So enjoy the options at the moment. And I will let you all go to your busy days. But any last words of encouragement, Alan?
No, listen, guys, I mean, again, like I said, I mean, it's one of the best ways of getting the business right now, the most effective ways, getting in front of buyers and sellers. The first step, the hardest step, I think, is making that decision to hold an open house and then keeping that decision, right? Just do it, get better at it, ask questions from obviously us, and then other agents as well. And, things, they're just going to start getting better and better with these open houses. I think there are going to be more and more listings, more opportunities to not only pick up the buyers, but more importantly, the sellers. And then if you're one of those agents that are going to be doing any type of geo farming, open houses got to be one of the key pillars that you got to be focusing on as well. So kind of keep that in mind.
Ellen, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
This is Jamie. Do you see or have you experienced any additional value to having a loan officer sitting in open house with you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you think about it, you're going to have a group of potential buyers at the open house. And if you have a loan officer there and loan officer can speak to them wisely on the different products and like down payment assistance products and conventional, VA, USDA, FHA, the current interest rates, all of that, I believe, is a valuable experience for not only for the buyers that are going to be attending, but also for the agent.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. This has been
You
very
got it.
helpful.
Awesome. Thanks for.
All right. Well, tomorrow, guys, if you guys are available for our workshop, a little plug on Wednesday workshop at 10 a.m. via Zoom. It's going to be Facebook 101 with Tristan Horn. So just going back to basics on Facebook and how to advertise and whatnot. And the next boot camp is online lead conversions with Raul Henriquez. So Raul is one of our top producers who's a high online converter. And he uses a CRM sync. He generates his own leads. And he really actually does convert online leads, such as Facebook leads. So I would highly suggest seeing you guys all next week on our Tuesday Bootcamp as well. But we'll leave you all to your busy days. Thank you so much. And Vanity, enjoy that open house of yours.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.